Sometimes in football, it rains goals.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ireland Esports Collegiate Series League of Legends section. My name is Sandbag. Joining me as always is Zathos. And sir, how are we feeling about kicking off playoffs?
Oh, I'm super excited. Everybody knows the playoffs is the most exciting time. And guess what? We've got two bangers on our hand. And of course, one of these teams you know a little bit more than I do, don't you?
Absolutely. We got ourselves DCU Unending Despair taking on TUD Miau. Myself, of course, DCU alumni. I've played with these players. I know these players. I've seen them. This is also a bit of a full circle moment, right? This was the very first game of the split with these two. I believe it was seeds 2 and 4 clashing up early on in the Swiss. Looking to run it back. Best of 3. Single elim. You lose, you go home. Well, stay home, but you don't progress, I should say.
Yeah, they don't get to go to maybe something in person later on. Maybe we'll be there casting them, who knows? But I'm really excited to see how the drafts and adaptations they're going to have, because you said before, they've met, but have they changed their adaptations, the way they play? Because I'm looking at the drafts on the left-hand side, and DCU loves to play this hard engaged comp. I know you like to play J4, especially Birchard in the jungle, loves that champion as well. So I'm expecting hard engage from them. And for the other team, TUD Miau, I look at their comps and I can't really read what they do. All I know is they like a bit of Olaf. They pop in a Rise somewhere, maybe a Viego. Sometimes you see an Akshan. We saw a Teemo jungle. It's just pure mayhem. So I'm excited to see if they got some major counter picks for what Unending Despair wants to do here.
Absolutely, right? Flexibility versus we know what you're going to do. As you said, a little bit more formulaic for the DCU team. I suspect we will be seeing exactly 0 games of J4, right? We're guaranteed 2 games, perhaps a 3. I expect 0 games of J4, as that has been just chain spammed over the course of Swiss, and the team looks on a very different level structurally when they have it versus when they don't have it. A very kind of consistent initiation, point and click, especially with some of these AD carries with a little bit less mobility flying in, playing on live patch. You yourself as a bot lane connoisseur, we've got some new items, some new shakeups, a little bit of opinions in there as a J4 can really wreck those.
Yeah, the big thing the J4 can counter is actually Varus that has risen up in popularity, as any champion that doesn't have a way to get out that Cataclysm is practically screwed. They are just going to die in there. So TUD Miau need to ban it away if they want to have that playstyle. As when I've been looking at how their bot lane likes to play, is they can have that AD carry you talked about, but they're a little bit more funky than that. I said we get Rise mid, maybe an Olaf jungle, but down towards the bot lane, who needs an AD carry? They're useless anyway. They've been enjoying the Hui, something that can hit from long range and doesn't have to be the main carry. You can focus on the jungle, which has been the main priority for this team.
It also matches up real nicely. We saw these two teams clashing up against each other with a Draven. We're not going to be disrespectful and say OTP, but a Draven enjoyer for the DCU marksman. And Hui can just stand a little bit outside that effective range. You know, like the big brother situation where you put the arm on the forehead and swing all you want. You're never going to be able to close that range. Hui can do a little bit of that, where you're just tantalizingly close but can't get your hands on them. That can also be another thing to really kind of mage bot lanes, Teemo jungles, mixing things up. This TUD team can pretty much pick names and play ultimate bravery here in the playoffs.
And I think that's probably the best counter you can have to this DCU side, because you've played with them, I've played with them in best of 5s, and they only know one thing in their head, and that is just go in. If it doesn't work, go for next team fight, and we'll make it work next time, because we are just mechanically better. So if they have a lot of these mechanisms to try and stop that, like maybe a Braum down as support, having Hui as their AD carry, the Olaf when you don't have that CC to stop it, as if you Cataclysm and Olaf, we know who's winning there.
The other thing that we're talking about, right? We mentioned bot lane, we mentioned jungle, walking our way up towards the other side lane is Rengus, a name striking fear and trepidation from players somewhere between prehistoric and modern times that kind of wheeled out of the retirement home. Arguably the focus of the DCU team, trying to keep him behind and keep him in his confines up in the top lane is going to be priority, arguably number 1 here for the TUD side.
And the funniest thing is that I never knew about Rengus before we came to this split. I've constantly heard from you and other people in the league scene about how amazing this player is. And the way that I've watched him, he loves to go for these side lanes. He can be that solo carry for the team. So if he either gets his Camille or his Fiora, it is lights out. So the only way the DCU Miau might be able to counter this is maybe Shen in the top lane, a cheeky Warwick, which I don't think they'll play, or maybe the Malphite, but even that starts getting a bit tricky. So you have to put two of those bounds onto Rengus. That might open up the possibility for that J4.
And then you end up in spicy situations, right? Where you're talking about, sure, one option is to mitigate Scions, despite my feelings for the champion. The kind of Malphites and absorbing, even the Galio seems to be a bit kind of flavor of the week up in the top lane. Or you opt into double melee and you send 4 people up there. Grubs fight, everyone's there. Supports are roaming, mids are roaming. Bot lanes, you guys can do whatever you want. We're going to go get a lead up top. And suddenly, as your formula, your favorite approach, grubs become plates, plates become gold, gold becomes towers, towers become games. Sometimes... you just dump everybody to the top lane and fist fight over Ed, and Eddie, and never know how it works out.
You actually just sound like the epitome of this DCU team of why are we even caring about scaling, about trying to get to this late game? There's objectives on the map. I want those Ed, and Eddies, and I want to just win the game. And that is probably the funniest way to play League. And the way the Ireland so far has been opting to play it. If you are mechanically better, you win the 1v1. You get yourself on the champion that you are most comfortable on. You're going to be able to win this game.
And preamble aside, best of 3 game 1 draft on your screen, Zath. The guiding light. Navigate us through this.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the picks and bans are what I was expecting. One thing we didn't mention before is that both TUD Miau and, of course, the DCU team both play Carthus, AD carry and in the jungle. That's why that has been taken off the board. Viego as well, an amazing pairing in the jungle. If that finds one reset, it's over. And, I mean, it's just what you expect, right? J4 insta-lock. If they pick an Amobo carry into this, I'll be having words.
It's also very funny for the preamble to be assuming, I expect 0 games of J4. It's so obvious. The preparation's been done. Slammed. Just instant blue 1.
However, you see the Skarner ban. They decided to get rid of the Skarner and keep the J4 open. That makes sense against any other team, but not this one.
Not this one. However, the last time that there was a clash of these two, we talked about the Draven highlight. They know what's coming and have something prepared. It's now a matter of, is your preparation worth giving power picks? Are you know what's coming? Can you stop it?
Yeah, and that's the one optimization a lot of teams try and figure out is if you leave all of the prior picks open, you can give over the J4 and then get 2 priority picks for yourself. So J4 wants to go in. If he comes in and we have ways of trying to disengage against it, it isn't that comfortable of a pick. So the Caitlyn has, of course, that net shot to get away. And as well, that Zyra, who I played in solo queue recently, is great at trying to stop that big engage.
However, answered in kind, Jinx, Lulu, far less committal, are looking to play front to back, look for that initial pick. Jinx from Arcane. There's no introduction needed. Passive goes off. People start dropping.
Yeah, I just hope we don't see the lethality version a lot of people have been cooking up, especially with the Lulu. It has to be that attack speed. And this is the big thing about having J4 is... Okay, so, sorry, I literally got stun locked, not by Jinx's chat, just by the champion they pick. Okay, this is interesting. This is a Zyra jungle, I think. And I like this a lot more than what they were doing beforehand is... You know how they didn't want to engage beforehand? They had the Zyra ultimate to stop it. Now they just have a Monsoon on top of that, plus the Tornado. There's no way this J4 is ever getting in unless he's flash R-ing onto the enemy team. And that just doesn't seem good. So now both of these teams are going to be going for this front-to-back team fighting comp, unless... I'm thinking maybe a Camille could be here. Could be good here, because, I don't know, there's so many different options.
Could be the Unstoppables for sure are going to be knocked around here as we have 2 different approaches. Mid lane bans here out of Ari and Aurora. Super strong, not going to be seen in this first game. However, another highlighted champion alongside the Olaf. Malphite, you will fight me, but you will do this, and you can't just sit in your tower, go down to plate in 10 CS. You must answer me. That's a bit of a challenge in the top lane.
And the big thing the Malphite gives is the engage that is lacking on this Maui comp. Because if they have the Malphite to go in, have Zyra combination on top of it, Caitlyn ultimate, you will be able to maybe kill the Lulu, maybe kill the Jinx in these team fights. And that is the win con for you. So I want to see a little bit more engage coming out from them, as the Rise has been locked in, great at being this front to back team fighting comp. But they still need a little bit more impact. While on the opposite side, I feel like DCU has enough engaged the J4. Maybe you could opt to go for a hyper carry mid laner and then just go as front to back as possible.
Carry mid or dive buddy, alternatively, right? Galio somewhere in that vein. Kennen, another where you're looking to get Cataclysm alongside the ultimates out of both Victor and Kennen, looking for that kind of almost dunk tank style comp. Anyone who's stuck inside, sure, Caitlyn's got net. Rise, no. Janna, no. Zyra, no. You have Flash, and that is a very expensive cooldown.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I would have actually mind that Galio pick you talked about earlier. See how much AP is on this Maui side. You got the Zyra, you got the Janna, and that Rise on top of that. That W shield from the Galio would have had massive effect. But they need a little bit more engage and disengage at the same time. So the Wukong is going to get locked in. And we still have a few ways that both of these team comps can work around. Kennen, most like towards the top side. That team DCU is pretty cut and clear. Lulu Jinx towards the bot side. But Wukong, flexible, can go towards the jungle. Zyra as well can go there. Rise, maybe towards mid, maybe towards top. So we're going to have to see what all the pieces will fit. But overall, for me, I think DCU take it.
I mean, as per, it's all of this concept of how wide your slices are towards victory, right? How optimal you have to play it. You know, very narrow win cons can still be great if you happen to be, well, I was going to say Zeus, but Doran, for those of you, as pro side, if you're looking to be another world champion, narrow win cons is fine as long as you make zero mistakes. Whereas everyone press your R key typically streamlines things, right? That's a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah. As a HLE fan, I just want to make a quick comment. I'm so happy that we got Zeus. We are winning Worlds next year. I did bet on you this time. But getting ourselves back in towards the game, 100%. DCU have the probably simpler comp to execute. There's only one major caveat on how they have to play it, and that is they need to find a flank from this Kennen. If they can find a flank with him, get it onto 1, 2 members, stun them up. J4 doesn't have to go for the engage because he can just Zhonya's up, you just slowly walk at them, and with the reset from Jinx, GG, the fight is yours. So big adaptations there. While on the opposite side, maybe with the Rise, there could be a possibility of having some side lane threat, using that to take these outer towers. As if they use this Caitlyn and Zyra to push out this bot lane and get themselves a gold lead there, that is the biggest option I can see for the Maui team winning.
Oh, absolutely. You're looking to try and really hammer home your advantage. That said, Lulu does have some ability to fight back. Passive autos are no joke. You know, a Glitter Lance, couple passive autos. You can actually outtrade the AD before the real crit pulls in. However, I want to highlight something you said earlier, right? Kennen flanks. You do have a Janna. So keep in mind that you can be marked extremely well. You find your perfect engage, you get in there, and then you're dumped a screen away again because she pressed her R. J4 and Kennen need to be able to stagger those. Because if she gets both of you out with one press, that's probably Miau's fight. So support, I will say support in this case, despite Zyra on my screen. Support's got a lot of weight on their shoulders to mark. Normally it's top marking top. Support's got their work cut out for this one.
And the best thing as well with Rise, you could just do the EW combo where you just start one person in place. You could just look at Kennen and say, okay, you could do damage to me, but leave my team alone. But the one thing we haven't talked about is I said you can't pick these mobile carries into J4. You have to have someone who can get over that wall. And they started off super well. Pick the Caitlyn, gets over that wall. If you want to say Rise with ultimate can get over it, sure. But except for that, both Zyra, Janna, and of course this Rise, if they get hit into that Cataclysm with just a flash R, no matter if you try Monsoon away, you are staying in that Cataclysm. So then Kennen can just go in, flash R, and easy possibilities of winning these fights.
I will say the image of Rise sitting there full channeling his ults to get his team out of Cataclysm is extremely funny. I don't think it's happening, but there's a world where he channels Realm Warp, J4 ults in, and they all just zoop out of the portal.
The big thing for me of the Ryzel is I actually don't care for it in team fights. I just remember these plays that Caps used to do when he played Ryzel all the time, where it just ult the wave like 10 seconds further forward just to get themselves to tempo. That's just a color caster in me being like, there's so many small techniques. Or like use the ultimate for the wave in the mid lane, push it towards top lane to have a massive stacked wave to finish off the game. But
Or you teleport all your minions into their base and spawn camp them. Because that's your approach is macro, rotations, extra optimized minions. I'm like, Tochi's on my screen and I don't want him there. We're going into his fountain. We're making that double digits. That second number in KDA double D for double digits. That's what we're saying.
This is why you're the Irish guy. You just understand the thought process here of just fight, 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 and more fighting. Of course, need those ways to be set up. That is something, of course, a lot of these teams do. But one thing we mentioned before with the team fighting was actually having to use that flash to try and find these engages. So there is going to be a 5-minute timer where the DCU lot can find a quick engage with the Kenano, maybe with the ultimate from the J4 as well. So they need to plan around that, and you have to be a little bit more relaxed on your engage. You're saying, okay, I'm not going to engage here, so I can engage 2 or 3 minutes down the line. And if I know how these teams like to play, I'm going to be curious if they're going to be able to hold their fingers from touching the buttons.
Also, some players who have a little bit more experience or a little bit more kind of familiarity with more structured play with competitions are going to be brushing off, be like, this is quarters. There's still a long way towards that big prize of the LAN finals, of the in-persons, of the crowd noise popping. But you're still in playoffs. You still have a series to get through. Some players knowing that they're on screen can be a little bit jumpier, or I don't want to be the guy who makes a mistake on stream and are overcautious, right? A play you're taking 10 times out of 10 in solo queue suddenly becomes I don't want to mess up. I don't want to kind of get in your own head. So seeing how these players, both of these very competent players, very competent teams, they've gotten here into these playoffs, top 8. They've proved it. Are they able to continue it forwards, and who kind of rises to it?
Yeah, I saw what you did there. Rise on our screen. Very funny, Sandbag. But I agree. If you are getting yourselves in towards the playoffs, when I've had my experiences of it, it is very jarring at the start where your hands are a little bit shaky. Maybe it's a little bit cold outside, so you can blame it on that. But it takes about 5-10 minutes for the players to really get in it if they haven't played a solo queue game. And even if they have, it's still a very jarring process. But once you get towards that second game, it's either a make or break moment where you become fully yourself and you're like, I got this, I know how to play, I'm going to go for every play that looks right. Well, the other part is, oh no, we've already lost the first game, we're down 1. If we lose again, we are out of the playoffs, and that's so much pressure coming in. So this first game has a lot more stakes on it than you first would think.
Yeah, really looking to kind of set the tempo, set the pace, and give yourselves a little bit of a buffer. You can kind of relax, you can kind of slow yourselves down and approach it a little bit more methodically. So I, for one, am absolutely looking forwards to how this plays out. If you had to pick a lane, right? I know you're slightly leaning DCU draft-wise. If you had to pick a lane for camera to be focused in on, what's the kind of crux of this game? Where is this game going to come down to, especially, pre-15, somewhere in that lane?
Can I, instead of pick a lane, pick a champion? Anything that J4 does, if it comes out with a lead, I think that might be the way to win, because either the Victor, the Kennen, or the Jinx can carry this game. But I will answer your question properly. I think bot lane is going to be the most exciting one. There's 2 ways that this can go. You've got the option of the Caitlyn and Zyra do a very good job of trying to poke out the Jinx, being able to get them low enough, find those resets, and most importantly, find those tower plates with the Void Grubs later on to just blow open the game like BOG did against T1 in the first game. Or you have the other option where Jinx and Lulu is able to survive the early game, be able to use that Lulu seal to soak up all that damage, find one gank from the J4 either before level 6 or after, it doesn't really matter. You find the lead on the Jinx, you get yourself the early game dragons, you scale towards that mid to late game where your Jinx is just able to just blow up everyone, and that's the way they win their team comp.
Just trying to recreate the Arcane, no spoilers in any way, shape, or form, but Jinx from Arcane. I promise I will try and keep a lid on these. There's too many that you're able to kind of weave in and throw in, but we will be getting into Summoner's Rift in just a moment. Game 1 Gremlins, as you and I are both very familiar, have been striking us once more behind the scenes. We are currently Nocturne ulted, despite all 10 champions being locked. Black screens on black screens. So as soon as we have that up and running, we will let you guys know. But yeah, you're looking for J4. You're looking for snap engages.
Yep.
However, if you're spending 45 seconds sat and bought Tribrush because you've done a camp and you're looking to try and get something going, Zyra is wiping out camps. That's the flip side of the coin. You can be everywhere all of the time, but you're burning time. And Zyra can really make that sting.
Yeah, you're mistaken though. It's J4. It doesn't matter if he skips 5, 10, all of his camps. If he's level 3, then level 6 later on, he's at his perfect point. He just needs that flag and drag to make these engages happen and just needs to find a lead for the team, as you will be getting outscaled by the Zyra because you're never going to be able to keep up with those jungle camps you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, we should be rolling on into Summoner's Rift in just 1 second. Game 1 of TUD taking on DCU should be inbound. Should be looking to get things going. Your prediction? You think this is a 1-0 DCU?
Matt, you just can't tell, can you? It's the most difficult thing because there's so much high variance in both of these team comps. If it goes one way early on, they're just going to be able to take it away. But if we calm it down and we remember that it's a playoff series with 2 professional teams, DCU, I would give a 60-40% chance to win.
60? You think it's that significant? You think it's a full 10% swing?
I mean, in my head, I was like, 10% isn't that much, right? Apparently so. Yes, I'm going to give it a 10% extra over towards DCU. Of course, you can't be biased yourself. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, I tend to not give as hard as swings. Like 10%. Imagine, we'll put this in terms that the community members can understand. 60% win rate on a champion? That's a good champion. You should pick more of that champion. You know, that's a solid player.
That's actually the most busted champion in the game.
If your bot lane loads in and you see your AD carries a 40% win rate on Kalista, you're not looking forward to playing that game, right? That's the framing I'm going to put on it.
Okay, can I say why I'm a little bit jarring on that statistics? Because mine, I have 11% win rate bard, so statistics don't matter as much to me.
Masters once upon a time, but unfortunately our bar of soap is currently residing in Emerald 1.
Hey, I popped off on Zyra.
Memes, dreams, and podcasts aside, we have League of Legends on our screen 2.5 minutes in, and we have standard fare across the board. Nothing too out of the ordinary in terms of runes, masteries, and that sort of thing, so should be cruising on in.
Yeah, everything going to be around about normal. The only thing is the sweeper lens was picked up by DCU's jungler Bitch Heart, so he might be able to find and engage towards the bot lane if he wanted to. Of course, a little ward down there does opt that away. And the one thing I'm a little bit curious on is the Zyra pathing going from bot side straight towards top and looking for this play. I've actually liked it if Zyra was down towards bot lane, supporting the team and just allowing this Caitlyn and Janna just to bully out the Lulu Jinx.
Yep, trying to really exert authority. However, here comes Zyra flashing underneath the structure. White Raven and Rengus go hand to hand, and Wave crashes on top. Rengus gets the solo kill before it goes down, evading the gank.
And that was a really smart play from Rengus, knowing that Zyra was pathing towards the top side. He had 2 options. One, leave the wave from where it was, go for the reset and have it frozen on him, or instead tried to go for the 1v1 kill and shove the wave under. So he went for the latter play, gets himself that kill, pushes the wave under, and now has a 5 CS lead, but most importantly, got the first kill, so is about 150 to 200 gold up.
Absolutely. You are very content getting that off just in time. And as you said, getting the wave crashed is more than you could have hoped in that situation.
And what was the big thing we talked about? Zyra is really quick at clearing. That's the only reason that play was able to happen. And it didn't even go correct for them. So J4's been able to farm up on the opposite side. And with that extra time, it's only 3 CS down at this point of the game. And you're not going to complain about that as that jungler.
Nope, not at all. You are content to keep on cruising along, keep on stacking up the gold, and try not to let anything get away from you.
Yeah, and talking about stacking, if we look towards the bot side, there has already been a call from this bot side. So I kind of regret saying to look towards the bot lane because there's going to be a lot happening. Whenever that item's picked up, it's the opposite feeling of a Dark Seal where you just say, okay, we'll sit in lane, we'll farm up, and we won't really do much.
Yeah, you're looking to PvP that one on out and make sure that you're really going hard constantly on that one.
Yeah, first tower plate taken towards the bot lane. Caitlyn making sure to pick it up for themselves. 125 gold over to them. Of course, not going to be too much of an impact early on, but you definitely want to see them to start ramping up as soon as possible, as you only have the first 14 minutes to make big use of it.
Yep, you're chipping along here. Nice little net. Mana pools are definitely hurting down bot here. Is a nice tornado. We'll stall it out. I was expecting a little bit of aggression, but dealt with appropriate. However, re-engage, exhaust and barrier traded. In comes Jarvan. Zap connects. Sprumble on the ropes. They will flash forwards. Auto will track, and it kills. Jinx kicking that one off in the bot lane. Pressure lane no longer.
And you were talking about the damage of Lulu early. My God, that Delta lock going almost for that solo bolo with that coming through. But being able to push out that wave, they get themselves the first dragon. And that's the exact thing we wanted the DCU team to do, is find a good trade towards the bot side, have J4 constantly support them to do whatever they want, and just focus on getting these dragons.
Rise coming though, dipping into pit. 1 HP and stolen. Zyra gets their hands on that one. Ultimate knock up. They get both jungle and junglers. They strike back in this one.
Yeah, and the flag and drag not being available means that they can't pick up that dragon and can't get themselves out to safety. And it's just devastating with how quick people reset now in League of Legends. It just gives the opportunity for TUD Miau to go for that reset, get themselves straight back onto the map and steal away that dragon.
Absolutely. It's a counterpunch swiftly here in the bot lane, and with the wave heading in towards bot lane, Jinx's lead somewhat negated already in terms of those creeps.
Well, the big thing, at least for them, is that the kill went over towards Rise in the mid lane. It means that Caitlyn, the person that they will be laning against, isn't going to be getting as much gold as she could have with that 300, with the extra 2 tower plates she got just then. If she went for the reset, she'd be very close towards that collector, and that's a huge swing in towards the favors. So this lane isn't just over yet for both of these teams, but we definitely need to see a little bit more proactivity again from Beerchart down towards here when he gets that level 6 to try to get themselves a bigger lead.
Yep, looking to perhaps re-look, despite the fact that he wasn't needed the first time, his presence appreciated. Grubs available. Junglers are on correct sides. However, no one's immediately looking to rush these down.
Well, you're talking about that. If you look at your mini-map, Janna's already going nearby. Caitlyn as well getting a nice ward onto the enemy Raptor camp, spotting if J4 wants to try and contest it or wants to walk towards the bot side. And in a second, they will notice or go down towards the bot lane. So I expect TUD Miau to instantly run over towards those Void Grubs and give them over. And this is exactly what you wanted from TUD Miau, as their comp is trying to get these tower plates, right? With the Caitlyn, with the Rise in the mid lane. The Void Grubs are really going to help.
Strong siege power only heightens the strength of those. However, Dr. House inbound, Cyclone committed. Here comes the slicing Maelstrom, flashing away from the Zyra ult, but not far enough. The Monkey King picks up revenge up in the top lane.
Yeah, and it's great damage from the top laner, but it's just too little too late, and it's forcing a play from DCU Unending Despair to try and look for a tower dive, but Caitlyn has so much wave clear, it's really difficult to make this work.
Yeah, you're trying to lurk here. You see J4 wetting in the wings. Chomper's committed. Down goes Janna, not able to find the flag and drag. Under they go. Cataclysm spent, and out they pop. Double kill to the Jarvan. Bearchart making it happen bot lane.
And the window for that play was so smooth for them. No level 6 available for either the Janna or the Caitlyn means that no monsoon, no way of stopping the flag and drag early on. So then they get themselves the kill. And the only reason they weren't level 6 is when Janna left the lane, actually going towards those Void Grubs, she missed a whole wave there. And then down towards the bot lane, the 2 waves stacking in, missed them as well because they were coming towards her. That didn't let her get towards that level 6.
Small knock-on effects. Sure, you're in the right place for the grubs. You're in the wrong place for the XP, and in this case, it makes all the difference.
It's really hard to say because I think Sprumble played it super well going towards the top side with the team to help the Void grubs, and then they noticed Bitchtoss was going out towards bot lane. They don't need to be up there anymore, so they instantly run towards bot lane to try and stop this stacked wave from going under. But you just kind of have to give it up and wait for your team to come nearby. So at the end of this, it wasn't as effective as they wanted for DCU, as the 2 kills did go over towards the J4, who really would have wanted it to go on his AD carry.
Yeah, that is the one thing that you can take solace in for the TUD bot lane, as with the previous gank, kill goes elsewhere. KP, fantastic. However, you always want that plus 300.
I feel like the only person who's happy with that is probably the jungler yourself. Having the Conqueror first item on J4. I've seen what you can do on that champion. Imagine beer chart on it. It's just absolute lights out if they can get the full combo on top of you. So the full burst damage is going to be very high in these next fights. So if they want to go for another engage down towards the bot lane, could be effective.
It's also worth highlighting in terms of, you were talking about J4's item completion. Ryze has already got Roa ticking. He's got tier, he's got Roa, he's got a kill and CS lead. Mitcha is starting to ramp at a very fast rate.
You were so close to making the correct point. You could have said he's rising up to the occasion or something with it, Sandbag. Come on. I need the play-by-play of you here.
The low-hanging fruit ones.
Oh,
you gotta resist.
That, huh?
Cat, like, as an LCS supporter, as we have a bit of a lull, as an LCS supporter, the fact that Flowers isn't constantly making impact jokes is just a testament to just how good he is. Because they're just right there all of the time. You know, top lane impact.
I was going to make a joke about him not being impactful enough, but he is actually probably the best or one of the best top laners in the LCS. So I can't even make fun of him for that, as the second dragon will be going over towards TUD Miau. No contention there. And this is starting to have a little bit of a knock-on effect with Ryze having so much control towards the mid lane we talked about. They could just get prio there, get prio towards the bot lane with the help of Dr. House, and they can just pick up most of these objectives if they have time to set up for it.
Absolutely. Just really kind of leveraging leads. And you kind of joked about it. J4, you know, skip a camp, skip 2 camps, skip 3 camp, flash forwards, looking over the wall, Dr. House, flash and ult, burn, exhaust, heal, sums, traded, E, body block, double monsoon. The insect from Sprumble is beautiful. In comes the Realm War up top lane. Cataclysm trades one back bot lane. Sprumble will knock up once more. Party portal bot lane. Sides will split, but 2-for-1 TUD pick up the bonus.
Oh, Sadbag, it's everything I wanted and more. I wish we get to see a replay of that. That monsoon at the end was absolutely incredible from Sprumble, and I didn't think they had enough. Look at everything Kaizenor and Oct used to make that play work. Both using the flash, having the heal, and that cleanse. As the rocket is going to miss. And on the back of it, look at these kill leads start to balloon for the team. 1 kill over towards the Zyra. Ryze picking up another one, getting pretty close towards that second item. And I talk about Caitlyn itemization, finally has that collector finished.
So much to break down in just that one clip. Janna then walking in, using the health bar to try and keep the wave from freezing in front of structure. And then Rocket to try and answer the freeze. Now we once more go Electrocute propped in Mitcha, force back, but a lot of HP early on for this Ryze.
Yeah, Caitlyn having nice priority, or sorry, Jinx having nice priority towards the bot lane doesn't allow the Caitlyn to move. And this is actually still connected towards the last play that was so fantastic to watch. Because of how long that play went on for TUD Miau, and trying to push in that wave that you said was super well done by the Janna, means their reset timings are a little bit late. So of course, the CUD side gets to push out, get themselves towards that objective. So it is only going to be 3 or 4 grubs a piece. As this game, I think we might have a 3 series banger on our hands.
Absolutely love to have that happen here as the bot laners just shoving back and forth. I kind of wanted to highlight Collector on both ADs. How do you feel about the Jinx? I know you're not a fan of pure lethality,
but is it
Collector?
Your...
Is it better than Wild Arrows? Because that seems to be what is taking the bot lane by storm.
I mean, I don't mind either one as TP.
TP channeled, Whimsy spent, flash away. I make her move, is going to retreat into the back lines. Flash Maelstrom onto 3, bumped out in time, but they re-engage. Rengus is here. Rockets fly, they reset once more. Here comes the Lulu ult over the top of it. Wild Growth keeps the AD firing. They pick up another. Zyra Burn trades back bot lane, but it's 3 for 2 DCU. Ben with the dunk on in Bear Shard. Dropping the hammer on mid, making it 4 for 2 double up here for DCU.
This game is just so explosive on both of those parts, using double TP towards the bot lane to make this play work, but it didn't actually go that well for them. DCU picking up a double kill in towards that play. However, Dr. House finding that trade back that you saw, and White Raven, no teleport available, may have actually been the best thing for him as he gets that full tower in towards his pocket. And Rengus, I'm not sure if that TP was worth it.
You have a Sheen and a stick, and yet Wukong absolutely dunking that one down. Level down, no problems, able to keep on pressing forwards in the top.
Yeah, because you start seeing this slow lead that Rengus was able to build, especially with that 1v1 going his way early in towards the game. But because of that teleport, it's giving Wukong an opportunity to get enough gold in towards his pocket. Once he finds that reset, he'll have the first item completed, and he can start contesting for these next major fights, which I expect to be around this dragon in a couple minutes' time.
A little bit of supportal combat, but mid laner is looking to make it awkward. Zap over the wall, forcing back. Priority still remains in TUD's hands, though. They press their vision lead forwards, and as you see, red wards litter the jungle.
That's painful for Caitlyn. You know how badly they wanted that tower there. Not going to be able to grab it. Still trying to push it out, getting themselves ready for this next objective. But I'm really liking how respectable both of these teams have been in a weird way, because they're going for so many fights, but they're only going for fights when they know they can do it. So nobody's actually been caught out this game.
Yep, very much picking fights on their terms whenever they have the opportunity. Both teams are sending it. I do want to highlight, though, right now, Zyra swapping this Drake fairly valueless to the DCU side, so may as well grab up this Rift Herald. And a very scary plant right now. Dr. House rocking 2 items and 4 Dark Seal stacks. 16 minutes in, that shred is going to be massive at this point in the game.
Sandbag, do you remember I played like a 30-40 minute game? That was my itemization on Zyra. Getting that at 60 minutes is going to be huge as Kate.
Whoa, a cheeky look here from iMaker, and this is not appreciated by Bearcard, flashing forwards, AD down, Monsoon is late, and here comes the mid lane, but fed to the meat grinder. Jinx is gonna pick up a second, tried to bite off a little bit of a cheeky look, and pays with both carries.
But what did we talk about? There is no way without the flash available for Ryze to get themselves out of the Cataclysm. Bearchart with that EQ flash to stun up first, ultimate on top of it. It was absolute perfection. And with that double kill going over, they can most likely pick up this mid lane tower. They can definitely pick up this bot lane tower and steal away jungle camps as well. So the gold lead should be 1,000 gold about by the end of these plays.
Happy days. This is already narratives building, right? Bot lane gank is success for DCU. So TUD answer with a Drake steal. So DCU answer with a fight 4 for 2. So TUD answer with a play on top lane. So DC, and then all the way down the line, blow for blow, swinging early.
Like, this needs to start joining the NLC with how both of these teams are playing. They are on fire as they're going to be able to get themselves out to safety as the tempo has finally finished for the Unending Despair. And I wasn't actually that upset with them not deciding to go for that dragon fight, Miau, because I enjoyed the idea of maybe trying to get these tower plates with the Rift Herald, get your Caitlyn slightly bigger lead. As they're starting to become a bit of a slump we haven't talked about for the Miau side is Caitlyn, very good at 1 item, pretty good at 2 items, and then absolute monster at the 3 items. Same with the Ryze, or right at 1, but needs to get towards that 3 items to start becoming useful again. So they need to just keep clearing these waves, scale up towards this late game until their major carries are back and ready to start taking over these team fights.
Ryze especially, right, rocking that 8 out of 10 stacks. Blue buff is going to be popped in the air, sent on a little bit of a wander here, but will be secured by DCU's team. The full members pile on in. Rise, he's got the components. Fiendish Codex, he's got tier, he's working on last chapter and then the lock-in. That right there will be a turning point, and Mitcha might start supplementing Dr. House's damage while Moo kind of, again, as you said, works their way back in.
Yeah, and there's 2 turning points into this game as we might be having one towards this mid lane tower. I can just see BHR and Rengers. They are looking to try and dive this.
Pings on pings. Marked, however, mids find one another. EQ spent. The move speed. Chirp's taking a lot of damage back, though. Flash. Ultimate spent. However, Wild Growth will have a lot of HP back as down goes Mitcha. They try and defend. Ultimates will be spent, but at the end of the day, they continue to get their prize. Top lane presses.
Oh, I like the idea they tried to go for, seeing if they can pick off Chirps on the side lane.
A very swift answer. Sprumble getting ultimate off will keep Rengus flash committed out of those backlines.
Yeah, Rengus a little bit disappointed. He had to use the flash to get that ultimate onto so many members, but he still did his job. They got the mid lane tower. They can open up the map a bit more and start looking towards the last top lane outer tower before looking for the Baron. As when I was mentioning before about the way I can see this game blowing up and starting to really favor one of the teams, it has to be around this Baron. If they find a pick off there, or maybe win a team fight early on. Both of these teams have ways of just blowing it up. You have a Kate, you have a Rise, and a Zyra on one team, and of course Victor and Jinx on the other. If they ever have 30 seconds, maybe a minute on this Baron, it is just going to be going down.
Absolutely massive rush, and it's what you love to see. None of this Ari Jin pick comp.
I hate that comp.
Wail away at the worm for the next 15 minutes. Fantastic in picks, and then what? Both of these teams can look to really force the issue.
I've seen so many teams lose the game because they just haven't had any agency on any of these objectives. They'll kill a full team, have 30 seconds left to themselves, and they just sit there saying, we can still Raptor camp from you, and that's it. So, yeah, we're going to have to see if anybody's able to find a pick and get themselves to Baron. But most likely, they're going to be playing a little bit more reserved, trying to focus more around these dragons, as it is going to be so point if, of course, TUD Miau can pick up this next dragon. I'm going to be interested to see if they actually want to contest this. They are still in a little bit of a low state, as Rise has completed 2 items, but he needs a little bit more damage before he can start really shredding through everyone.
2 items Rise, 1 item Caitlyn. A disparity has broken out here in terms of this Drake fight. So keep in mind, ADs are not created equal.
I mean, same with Chirps in the mid lane. You see 1.5 item compared to 2 on the Rise. It's going to be the AD carries versus mid lane in this fight.
Trap line making it awkward, trying to weave their way through. E spent, help picks. Over the wall is Rise marking 2,800 HP. Knock up is beautiful. No chance of a steal until it comes through with the zap. Caster Curse in action. AD picks that one up into the backline, slicing Maelstrom, 4-man stun. Kennen is exhausted and knocked back. Ultimate committed from the support. Re-engage, looking forwards. Mitcha, Oct pressing backwards. Zap goes astray. Portal channeled. Realm Warp forwards. J4 will find the knockup, forced to flash away. E will block the last of the damage. DCU retreat. TUD press the advantage. Drake's 2 for 2, but health bars wildly favor the red side.
I'm used to having Jinx Rocket stealing these objectives, not just a zap, tower going down. And what a play from the AD carry of DCU Unending Despair, as that fight was just not looking in that favor, as Rengus was able to get into the backline, find that 4-man ultimate. However, he doesn't have any way of being able to tank it. No Sonya's available. He gets bursted out, and they just win this front-to-back team fighting comp with the amount of damage from the Rise and Caitlyn. It's a really good play from both of these teams, but no one's really found a lead just yet.
Nope, still all to play for. There's still so many opportunities for the one thing to break this game open, and we're still not finding it, right? 23 minutes, 2 full drag fights. There's still split decisions both times.
Sandbag, it's insane to me how both of these teams are so close when they have such volatile team comps. I expected one of these teams to just run away at the game and win it in 24 minutes. I thought it'd be over by now, but no, both of these teams finding ways to make the outplays and then get outplayed themselves against. So I think it still comes down towards the Baron that yet again, can they have the team find a pick, find a way to start opening up the map towards them?
This Baron dance absolutely here. Oh, under huge fire. Flash, heal, burnt, and still just about surviving. Those are valuable sums to take away before this Baron.
I think Zyber might be banned next game if I'm having any guess. It seems absolutely horrendous to play against. I don't see the reason why teams haven't been picking up more. It's so strong in the current meta if you know how to just be able to hard scale into the game, get towards your core items, and just start taking over like Dr. House has done here today. As we can start seeing the side lane pressure going in favor of the TUD Miau. Wukong on the side lane hasn't been as effective in these team fights, but has started to being able to take over, push out these waves, and just gain a little bit more control for the teams. They don't have to worry about these flanking potential that we saw last fight with Rengus.
You may not be worried. Hold that thought. Flash spent, mid caught, chirps is down, and that might signal Baron. 2 items complete, falling rocket snipes them out. This Jinx once more
DP?
sniping it out. Kennen inbound. Sprumble might have to run for their life. They do have the flash. They do not have exhaust. Uct boxing out, chasing down Zyra. Flash slicing Maelstrom. Everyone piles in on Mitcha, and mid falls again the other side. Flipped on its head. It's a 2-for-1 for DCU.
Yeah, Wukong has to teleport. There might be a way for them to try and defend it, but it's just looking like they're giving this up.
They want the bot lane turret as best they can. Slow going so far. Tanking up is this J4. You see the little bit of dance on the right-hand side of your screen. Eyemaker Moo's going to look for its Q. Steal. Piltover Peacemaker. Not enough. No vision, no chance. Jinx secures of all people. She's found 2 this game. They do trade out tower. DCU reset.
I think we have a new jungler on our hand. Kizunil just getting all of these objectives you talked about before. And I said that could be the thing to break open this game. It is only a 400 gold lead, and it isn't even over towards that Baron team. Another objective with the Dragon up in a minute's time. They're going to have to push out these waves with the Baron and look again for one of these Baron fights. And if it goes in favor of course, DCU, the Baron, they should be able to open the map, get some of these second-tier towers to start finding themselves a gold lead. Or on the opposite side, if they don't win it, there's a possibility where they get wiped, the Baron isn't left available, the enemy team is on sole points, and nobody, even with this Baron, has a significant lead with it.
Absolutely. Baron is a tool, not a trump card at this point, right? We're rocking a kill a minute, just about, as we just flipped over to 27 minutes. 26 kills, 27 minutes, and they still can be separated by less than a K. It's going to take one big swing as we post up around the river.
And you see how hard it is for them to try and walk in, having the Zyra, Janna, and Caitlyn. How are you meant to try and find a flanking water? There's just so much control of these plants Zyra's been able to give.
But you have to. Look up mid lane. They're going to be trying to run up down the middle, just straight down their throats.
Frank is going round. He's trying to find a really long flank here.
Looping. Vision secured. J4 taking some damage, still 7k to play with, and lots of Lulu shielding. They can stall this. Ultimate committed. Wild Growth will not be in time as they get the dunk onto backlines. Kaisanel down. TUD swing and swing hard. Drake secured. Triple secured. They're gonna polish off the ace, and right as we say it, 28 minutes, an ace, a Drake, and they're cracking the base.
Maybe more than just cracking the base. You see those timers, 25 seconds on Oct and everyone else is more. There's a possibility for them to try and end the game here.
As that is what it takes from 1k to Nexus in one fell swoop, 16 seconds. It looks like they're going to rush it down. TUD, AD flashes forwards. They put the finishing touches on 1, finishing touches on 2, and just like that, game 1 secured by TUD Miau.
You just need to let that game sit for a little bit. It's one of those just such hectic and fantastic games that you love League of Legends for. As if we could have ever got a replay of that last fight. There's so many small details that went right for one team and wrong for the other. And the main thing I saw was that flank from Rengus. I love the idea. The reason I mentioned it before the fight even happened, but the problem was it was actually warded out. And that's the one thing that TUD Miau has done fantastically so far, is they have the vision and they know what to do with it. So when Rengus was spotted on that ward going for the flank, they said, okay, it's time to go. We'll be the ones to engage, using that Wukong, using the damage from their Zyra ultimate, which practically one-shot 3 members of that DCU side. They were able to pick up the victory. And like I said before, Zyra needs to be banned next game.
Absolutely. Like, there's no way you're going to be giving it again. As you said, you're burning flashes and ults and backpedaling so you're not getting your DPS off. Sure, you could have 13 items on Jinx, but if she's running for her life and not even kiting running for her life, if standing still to get an auto attack off would be death, worthless, completely boxed out. Kate traps, plants, TUD's draft when they got there first, they got all their components and they marked the flanks. They got it together right when it mattered and clutch it up.
Yeah. I'm thinking about maybe next game, DCU has to, instead of going for the J4, I don't think it's a first pickable champion. I've always, well, more in recent time, I've been saying that. I think maybe Vi could be the possibility. Have that easier form of engagement. Most importantly, have the damage yourself to help the team find that first piece of lockdown and have the rest of the team follow up, as it felt like J4 was the only one who wanted to go in. Ken, yeah, sure, wanted to join, but had no real way in, while the other 3 kind of just sat on the back line and said, you do you, we'll try our best, but we can't help you. We aren't playing the Kai'Sa that we expect to see from them. So in this next game, I want some more engage, but most importantly, I just want to rerun that game back. If you want to give me the same champions and play the exact same way, I'll happily watch it.
Absolutely. You could just enjoy it. As you said, just let it sit for a second. Breakneck pace coming to an end. Super, super sick way to kick off the first set of playoffs, but we will be having a second game. Hopefully, fingers crossed, a third inbound with the best of 3, but I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a sip. We will be back with game 2 right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ireland Esports Collegiate Series playoffs for League of Legends Game 2 inbound. TUD Miau 1-0 up over DCU Unending Despair. 27 minutes of inseparable gameplay. One dragon fight and it's wrapped. Zath, where do we even start picking this draft apart?
I'm still on last game. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And give me more of it. I want a Caitlyn. I want a Jinx. I want a Lula. I want a Janna. I want everything. But most importantly, I want that Zyra banned. If I'm not the team playing it, it looked absolutely disgusting to play against. If you want to pick J4, it feels like Zyra has to get banned away, as if you ever try and go in, that ultimate goes down, chunks you to half HP and knocks you up, and it just feels like you can't be playing. As yet again, everything on the side of TUD and Maui is staying the same. Makes sense. You win your game. Of course, you're going to keep it the exact same. But I want to see if this adaptation of that Zyra is going to get taken away. So you're going to have to leave a high priority ban open, as the Udyr and, of course, Viego have to stay off.
In chat, yes, I do see you. It is blue side TUD, red side DCU. Miau for the blue side here. Caitlyn locked in once more. Success was limited. We shall say in the previous game, somewhat suboptimal state of game, but it was 100% win rate in this series. So
it wasn't the pick though. It wasn't the Caitlyn's fault. It's because they wanted to go for this big, we push you in lane, we get tower plates, and we play like that. Well, this Caitlyn's been more of the supportive Caitlyn. I'm surprised they didn't pick up Static Shift to just clear that wave and let the Janna roam around the back. And I'm ready for a salty run back. I want it. They're looking at it. Okay, I'm gonna guess. Is this a Jinx? I don't even care if it is. I'm happy with the first 5 picks.
I think it'd be so funny for a full honorable salty run back. That was so close, and we got it. We're in for a treat, Zath. You know, at this point, it's just no analysis from me. You just yap a little bit about what we said. Run it back.
Yeah, please become a viewer yourself. I do have one thing for you, Sam. Like, this a little bit more sad. The full salty run back is not possible anymore. The Rise has been banned away, so we aren't going to be having that towards the mid lane. And to be honest, I'm most curious, why are they banning Rise? Like the Rise was fine. It did all right towards the mid lane, but it clearly wasn't the problem. Are you just scared about the late game insurance it had? Then maybe that's the possibility. Well, of course, on the opposite side, the Aurora getting taken off the bat. And the big adaptation I want to see from DCU is have a little bit more engaged towards the top lane. There is just hard committal lockdown engage. Maybe a Ornn could be a possibility. Even the Camille, maybe even a Fiora, and you don't play for these big major team fights. That could be the adaptation the DCU needs to try and win these fights. Is I don't think they've used Rengus that effectively for how good of a top laner he is.
Maybe not leveraging his leads, but in game 1, it wasn't even created. Right? He TPs down bot lane, and Wukong gets his gold. He gets his structure, he gets his lead that he's wanting, and somewhat confined, was able to make it to backlines. This is as close to salty run back as you get, but keep in mind, inverted size, Rengus gets counterpick. So no matter what is blinded here, they will have something going. They lose and they're out. TUD wrap it up and go on to semis.
And remember, DCU, the best time we've seen of Rengus is that R5 counter pick. He has so many different options in his arsenal that you wouldn't expect to come out. We talked about the Fiora, we talked about the Camille. Gragas got taken away, something that he could have even played himself. His pool is more like an ocean to go against. So what will they pick that's safe towards the top lane? You got Cassante, you got Renekton, even the Nara up there could be a possibility, and it is going to be that Renekton locked in. And I keep talking about it. I want the Camille. I think the Camille is the best option here. You're able to get into the backline, hard committal engage, and just gives a lot more options in these team fights to have that flanking capabilities.
Are you Camille into Zyra though? Are you Camille into Talia though? You are slamming a Vayne on R5.
Wow.
Even more psychotic than the Camille. Going out either Game 3 or Blaze of Glory.
Cinema. Pure cinema we have here. Beautiful. Solo queue, please. If you ever see me in solo queue and you pick this, I will be permabanning you. But if you're Rengus, I'll still probably permaban you. But, you know,
see. All right,
We'll see.
results may vary. You know, this may be the
Yeah.
Vayne pop off 1v9, or this may be, yeah, you just don't navigate the fight ever, right? You're into zoner, crocodile.
Let's talk about what Vayne is good at and what Vayne is bad at for this adaptation. Because if Renekton has flash and, you know, Vayne doesn't have cleanse or QSS, there's a possibility where you can just get flashed by Renekton, then you get toshed up by Talia and you're just dead, right? There's no counterplay or maybe a stun from Renekton in towards that Caitlyn trap. Every 5 minutes, you're in this super awkward position. So I'm expecting Lulu to second item, build some QSS to help out this champion. But if we forget about that one bad thing about this matchup, Vayne absolutely just giga stomps Renekton. It's not even close. Renekton never tries to come in. You just condemn them away. Level 6 happens. You just go invisible and you just kind of dash around saying, hey, trying to get me? I'm an AD carry. Of course you can't. I have 2 ways of trying to escape for you. So this is what we wanted from Engus, though. We wanted a hard carry game, and I don't think you get a bigger champion up towards the top lane except for maybe a fully stacked Smolder that can carry this hard.
Absolutely. However,
it's a Vayne.
It's a Vayne.
Yeah.
And to do damage on Vayne, you must click things. And to click things, you must be in range. The problem they ran into in the previous game was Zyra plants, K-traps, Jananetos. If I look at the top 3 picks here for TUD, I'm looking at K-traps, Zyra plants, and Jananetos. So can you get access, right? If you just lock the 2 in a cage, fantastic. If you're trying to team fight, we talked about narrow. This is super narrow in terms of success, but when it works out, that is a slot machine.
Yeah.
Probably nothing. I won't do the soundbite. But then if it cashes out and Vayne gets her angle, everything dies. Jinx, Vayne, Victor, you don't need anything more than that. That's just straight up wipe.
And the benefit is, if we look at, of course, this side, we get to late game. They are just somehow winning. I don't know how, but just those champions on the same screen just end up killing everything, no matter what. As if the enemy team tries to kill the Jinx, Victor, Vayne carry, and vice versa, they pick one person. The others are going to be taken over. And yes, Caitlyn, Janna, and Zyra can do a really good job of playing this front-to-back team fighting comp. I'm just concerned that there are just too many threats to try to deal with. Of course, if they're able to play around the Zyra plants very effectively, there is a way that they can try to hit onto multiple members. This could be very difficult to do so.
And also worth noting is the difference between a fight where they approach on TUD's side versus where they set up first, right? Set up first ends the game outright when DCU tried to brute force it. TUD trying to walk in, have a gator, I guess. Like, he's got some HP and literally nothing else. You're not just like sending an order and they're like, hey buddy, go clear with your forehead.
But you have Janna. Okay, you got healing. I'm trying to give a little bit more defense. It still was no Ornn. And I'm going to completely agree with you there. No Ornn, but you have Zyra who can be behind you. You have Janna behind you. And it's more like, yes, he's going to die. But at what cost? If he dies, the enemy team can't hit towards your backline, which means your enemy or your backline can hit them. And that's the way they can win these team fight comps.
Yeah, he dies. Then what happens?
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to be optimistic here, right? We got Janna. I'm imagining he goes in, gets to like 10% HP. Janna like monsoons them all away. He gets out to safety and starts having a fun time. But no, Renekton's not having a fun time. And it's just going to be another skill matchup in both of these sides. The only thing I wish to see a little bit different from DCU is using the side lane pressure just a little bit more effectively. As last game, there was a massive breakpoint for how Rengar's played the game, and that was the teleport towards the bot lane. When he used that Ken and TP, he was able to find a couple kills, but then it didn't really end up being much more for the team. Well, Wukong got that full tower, got back into the game, and negated everything he did early on. So I'd like if Rengar's just focused on himself towards the top side, don't TP for these fights, and just be this absolutely evil side lane menace where they have to send 2, maybe 3 members to match you to let the rest of the team play the map.
And I'm pretty sure that's kind of clicked for the style that they're playing, right? If this is Vayne, this is fully aware of what's going to be going on. This is a 4-1 comp. This is AP damage, AD damage, Enchanter, Engage, right? That is a cohesive, singular unit.
Yeah.
I'll see you in 45 minutes at the Nexus, buddy. Rangus, you go do your thing, draw members, pull. Even a scoreline starting to look a little bit dubious can sometimes be valuable. Sometimes you go 2-14 and you win the game because they've 5-manned you every single time in the side lane. Sometimes you go 2-14 because you're Renektoned and Talia flipped.
Yeah.
Who knows? This is volatility absolutely in spades.
And I've actually seen quite a few adaptations for both the teams, especially this series compared to their last. Of course, there is a couple of weeks between each of these teams, but the big thing I've noticed is that they usually pick Kai'Sa and Nautilus towards the bot lane, and we haven't seen that at all so far from the DCU line. Of course, on the opposite side, Olaf, which has been perma-picked in the jungle if possible, has been nowhere to be seen. So a lot of these teams have changed how they wanted to play to try and match their opponents.
Structured, flexibility. It was shocking, genuinely, how many of the narratives that we brought up before game ended up kind of cashing out, right? Of the ideas of side lanes and counter picks and answers to things that were playing out. And in this case, you're looking to try and force the issue. I will say, as we're about to get ourselves set up for this do-or-die game for DCU, TUD looking to move one step closer towards that slam finals, towards grands. Percentages, odds, how are you drawing the line on this one?
How are you meant to do a percentage odds when you have a Vayne top lane? That is like the most...
You know what? I'll give you the pass on this one. Normally, that's the one I like to tee up to kind of
you know
bring
what?
us in.
49-51. You can decide.
There is an advantage in this draft, allegedly.
Somewhere. I'm not sure where.
The
There's a
winning
possibility.
team will have an advantage, typically.
You know, the winning team will win this game. I can guarantee you that.
With that incredible analysis, absolutely gorgeous game one, taking us into hopefully an even spicier game two. I'm looking forward to this one.
I can't wait. After that last game, pure cinema, we got to see, hopefully, I'm begging, I'm crying for another game of League of Legends like we saw then. And to be honest, the thing I'm kind of weirdly mostly excited for is seeing how many Baron steals, Dragon steals, anything that they can steal on this Jinx.
I mean, what was it? It was a Dragon steal with a Zap and the Baron secure. Granted, not contested, but still a pair of them.
That's all you need. Do 2 times this time. Might be the big possibility. As this bot lane, we've seen it before. It's just as we expected. Maybe there could be a little bit of an adaptation where Janna gets a little bit more poke to Caitlyn, where they can try to win out in these fights. As the big adaptation I have seen is Zyra's pathing towards the bot side. That's one thing that I said I wasn't so happy with Dr. House doing. I wanted him to give some more support towards the Caitlyn and Janna, so then they can go for these outplays. So maybe if they skip a camp, they can find an early kill down here, as that could be the place that they open up the map. As everybody knows, if Caitlyn finds a lead, Caitlyn can easily extend that by getting these tower plates.
Right. Siege. You don't have the range early on without burning mana, and that is a very finite resource early on.
Yeah, Talia in the mid lane getting themselves that push pressure, going to be able to place a ward down already on towards that blue buff. So both of these teams knowing where their enemy jungler is, not knowing it just yet for the UCD side, but they have a ward in towards that tribe rush, making sure that they cannot be ganked.
Also worth noting in terms of, mana expenditure, when you go QE on Caitlyn and you watch the mana pool visibly fall off and you're down to 2/3, you only have a handful of those as well. So managing those resources, sometimes even more important in enchanter lanes where health can be a little bit fraudulent.
Yeah, look, try and Ghana.
Looking but not in range. Not committing the flash means it will just be a chunk. However, Arked on the tail end of that trade, taking a bit of damage and some headshots fly through. I make her move, pushing back on that one, and blue buff contest.
Yeah, most importantly, look at this wave state because of that full 6 camp clear from Dr. House compared to Bitchart with only that 5 camp clear. Gets to me first and gets to contest it.
Level 3, level 4, 700 HP, Smite fight will not be had. It will be secured by House. Flag dropped. Victor trying to escort his jungle out of there. Flash is spent. Burn will tick, and the auto will do it. Talia picking up first blood underneath enemy tower.
And it's the same conversation we had before about Dr. House being able to clear so much quicker just because of the champion they're on, and their bot lane being able to survive that 3 versus 2 situation allows them to use that farm, go in towards the enemy jungle and bully out. Yet again, Beercharm, we're seeing the issue with this J4 early on into the enemy comp. You can just never engage on towards their bot lane. Mid lane, of course, has the unstable ground, so that's not a possibility. And top lane is going to be constantly under their tower, so that's the only place you're going to be able to find a lead in this game.
And now we wait. We see if they're able to make that extend or if that is going to be settling down here. TUD, remember, 1-0 up and the beginnings of a lead, arguably a larger lead than there was at pretty much any point in the last game, right? 700 gold took them 30 minutes to build last time.
Yeah, and this game feels very similar towards the last mid lane, getting the kill first of all, going over towards that Talia. And this is probably one of the worst people you want it to go on, because if they get a lead in the early game Talia with these itemizations, they can just constantly clear out these waves and just perma-gank top lane and get Rengus behind. If they don't want to do that, perma-push mid lane and get their bot lane behind. There's just so many different options for Talia to try and impact this map at level 6.
Certainly so, trying to get these... I wouldn't want to say volatile, because bot lane arguably is a little bit more stable. Top lane, certainly the more aggressive idea, but arguably more valuable in terms of bot lane. You'd love to get active and early and kind of link up with your jungle.
Oh, this is disgusting what they just did with Zyra. Dr. House went in towards the enemy jungle with the amount of vision they placed before from the first kill. They just stole away one of Beerchar's jungle camps. Now him thinking that his Gromp's down as well and his bot lane not being there, he's just given that completely up and walking towards the top lane to get themselves the Void Grasp. But look at this gold lead. Look at how hard this bot lane is to play as well.
You can't even walk to lane in peace here, just eating random roots, spells, knockups, all sorts of just a thicket of spells to navigate for the bot lane. And they will look to go again. Heal barrier flashes up. They're gonna have to bring more. Ultimate, spend. Dr. House, zap, spend. They will flash forward. Do they have the damage as she goes excited? Tyson Nell's gonna fight their way out of a corner. Double kill, make it a triple. Jinx pops off. Quadra kill for Kaisanel. Turning this game, they're not going down without a fight.
And I said we shouldn't have seen the TP from Rengus, but I am so wrong. With that quadra kill going up to Jinx, this game has been blown wide open. And it was a good idea from TUD Miau, but the problem was mid hasn't reset, AD carry hasn't reset. You don't have the damage to burst through a heal and a barrier on top of that. So then they can't burst it out. Double TP comes through, and with this 4 kill over towards Jinx, this bot lane has become so much harder to play.
Just take a moment to take inventory of what they tried to dive through. Alright, let's just take a little inventory. Jinx Flash, Jinx Barrier, Lulu Heal, Lulu Flash, Lulu E, Tower. Do you have enough to get through that as a level 5 champion?
It's so hard because I love the idea Zyra got to level 6 with a 20 CS lead because of the way they played this early game. They got the enemy jungler behind. They capitalized on it by gaining the vision and then going towards bot lane, finding the chunk out and then looking for the tower dive. Everything they did was the correct way. They just didn't look at those summoner spells.
Dice spent. Here comes mid. Weaver's Wall looking for the flip. Can they find the fancy feet? And they do indeed. Rengus looking to keep this one ticking. W's away. Now bot lane Sprumble up a creek without a paddle. Kaisanel picks up a rocket. Double kill to bot. 6-0-0. 8 minutes into the game. Jinx is rolling. Looking to keep it going. Mitch is going to face check into Victor. Flip with the beautiful unstable ground. Gravity well. Locking down move speed from Scuttle Crab gets them out of harm's way, but DCU's bot lane roars to life.
Yeah, Victor's ultimate being on a 10-second cooldown means even though he found that pick, he wasn't able to get the kill off it. Dragon going over towards this CUD side, and you just have to just feel so bad for TUD Miau. They did everything correct early game. They get themselves into the correct position, but with that one thing going awry, it's put everything on DCU into this position. As now bot lane has a lead. Top lane is in a very comfortable position themselves, going for that outplay as well. And now it's forcing the hand of TUD to try and make a play somewhere to get themselves back into the game. Because if they leave it as it is now, Jinx and Lulu down towards the bot side should be able to just pick up these tower plates, as even I have the have that law stick to me because of the arcane new season. It's just, in the mind.
It's fitting, right? Caitlyn versus Jinx straight after the second season is hot on our heels. Bear chart inbound. J4 knocked up. Rumble doing a great job keeping him at arm's length.
There's one thing I am quite disappointed that we haven't talked about, because of course, no spoilers for the next season, but we're harping on about Jinx and Caitlyn when there is still a victory in the game. I'm a massive fan of the champion itself, and after the new season, I feel like you have to be.
Then the opposite way, Rangus has got to try and fight his way out. 3 men pile in, no hope, stunned up, and White Raven makes it a done deal.
I said about the outplay, you flash W, you can't play the game. You need that cleanse available. Of course, going for the TP to help with that bot lane play isn't going to be able to get this wave either. So White Raven, with that outplay, going to have a 300 gold extra in towards his pocket. But to be honest, it's still not making a difference. He just gives himself maybe an extra second to stay alive in this matchup.
Always so funny to me when we talk about outplays of the
It's just
point and click variety.
There's just no outplay.
Meanwhile, looking to go under, rooted up. The trap headshot damage is going to be big. Tanking tower, Cataclysm spell. Look at the healing from the Lulu, though. Godlike goes Kaisanel, fighting their way through mid. Holly, Zap goes astray. Knock up from the J4. Mid, down. Kaisanel rocking and rolling with Oct as they look to keep on firing anything in range. Plant, structure, minion, mow down all the same.
And it's that conversation we were having about how this 3 versus 3 bot lane, if they can get it online, they can just do what they want towards the top side. And with it going so successfully, they get themselves an extra 3 tower plates. And I don't even want to know what Jinx is buying when they reset here. 4 item, got those boots, already got that BF sword. They're a full item up. I don't even have to see the gold to know this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Spectator, sir, can you please press your X key real quickly to see the absolute travesty for
It's
the
a hate
TUD
crime.
fans among us? Bot lane. Mid's got a lead.
This is actually a great conversation to have, to talk about the difference between this game and what happened last game. As with how close last game was, it never should have been that way. One of these fights should have just easily got one of the teams to take over like it has in this game here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You can flip back on out to these items. I want to admire so far. Now, so far, Uck has done a flawless job keeping the baby alive. Babysitter, 10 out of 10 so far. Clean slates on both. Can you manage that when items pile in? That will remain the question, as we saw the Zyra really start to hurt later on.
The question is, does Lulu have Redemption and Moonstone? If the answer is yes, 100%, they can keep the Jinx alive. But because they're actually going for the Arden sets at first item, it gives a huge power spike in damage in the 1v1, but does mean it's a lot more difficult to keep him alive.
Very awkward moment. Blast cone taken. However, Mitcha under fire, flashing away and sniped out once more. This Jinx can do no wrong. 901 mid falls.
Yeah, and that's the collector power. That ultimate would have never killed if it didn't have that 10% extra damage.
Rangus kicking off a fight, ring around the rosy. White Raven plays it great. The mind games from the crocodile completely bamboozles up in the top lane. Steve Irwin couldn't even find that one.
Oh, did you see the spam pings from his team? I could already tell what that cons were like. They were like, how the hell did you get yourself out there? Not having a ward available, Vayne not able to see him. And one thing we haven't actually mentioned so far is Caitlyn and Janna in this game have got the first hour. something that we were not expecting. It had all 5 tower plates up, and with that play going for those void grubs, trying to go for the rift tower as well, it puts themselves into an awkward position where they had no one towards the bot lane. They bullied off chirps from that wave, and they get themselves a little bit more gold into their pocket, and that's why this gold lead has gone a little bit less down, and the collector is finished by this Caitlyn.
So far, they are clawing their way back towards it, and no completion so far. Meaning there is still a moment for them to leverage it, but once the buy comes through, looking towards an IE or something of that ilk, far scarier. Level 11s, far scarier as we're creeping up on that.
And the big thing I'm thinking about is if Zyra finds a full combo with a Caitlyn ultimate on top of that, is that enough to kill the Caitlyn? And so far, I don't think so. They need 3 people minimum to hard focus this champion with the Lulu heal, with the barrier on top of that Jinx to try to finish them off. So maybe just letting DCU do what they want for the time, scaling up as you know that your Zyra is going to be able to clear a lot quicker than this J4. As we take a look at the CS difference between both the Zyra and that J4, it's already up to almost 50 CS.
We joked at the top of the day about J4 not minding whether or not he was down gold, but you certainly care about enemy jungle being up gold. As White Raven's forced to run, Dominus pop, they will look for an engage, condemn away, it will be R for R up top.
Yeah, just trying to bully him out to either force the TP from him or just allow his team to alleviate a bit of pressure. But as you saw, Zyra walking up, Janna walking up, so it gives a little bit of time for everybody else to relax, get themselves to safety. As there's a little bit of a low state in the game, I'm expecting DCU to mostly wait towards second items start coming through. Jinx is very strong now, but you talked about before, Jinx with IE and not with IE is a different kettle of fish.
Rumble has had enough. Just insta-popping the Monsoon to prevent any sort of early damage is just, no. Absolutely no gameplay here. Condemn into the wall. Ward is available, meaning the autos fly through, spaced appropriately. One more W proc will do it. Silver Bolt tries to find the back of the proc. Tower shot will finish the job. Not able to tumble their way through that one. Rengus down to the top lane. Kaisenel's going to put the hurt on Sprumble this time, though. And it will be down to 400 HP as they continue to hammer their lead mid, flanking in. Ultimate pop from the Lulu, the barriers, the heals. Can they find the DPS? They're trying to lock down, and Jinx is down. They get their man. One traded back for jungle, but he will swiftly hit the dirt. President is assassinated. Perfect headshot from I Make Her Moo as TUD end this rampage and end the godlike.
And somehow they get themselves a gold lead in this game with the catastrophic early game they find themselves into it. As Renekton finding the kill on towards this Vayne with that outplay gets the top lane tower. They get the mid lane tower as well with Chirps getting the bot lane one. But the big thing about that fight that changed the course of it was Jinx. When they flashed away, the Cataclysm actually locked Jinx inside it, allowing the rest of the team to just fully bulldoze on top of him. So a little bit of a missed synergy there was the reason Jinx went down. And I don't actually know where that kill went to.
I honestly have no idea. I saw it secured, and I saw the fight play out.
I see IE on Caitlyn. That might be the case. At least I hope that's the case, of course, for the TUD Miau, is that is going to be the best option for them. But you're starting to see the ideas of they didn't find a reset for so long. No first item for Oct, no second item for Kaizenal in that fight. They don't have the damage to go for these 5v3 plays that they think that they can because of this 9-1 Jinx.
9-1, and yet items are looking strikingly similar. I will say that much. Maybe Golden Pocket's going to do some to negate it, but that's
it's the tower
still
plates.
Effective power being very similar.
It was the communication that we talked about beforehand of how they know that they need to find a lead somewhere onto the map, and it has to be through these tower plates. As when they went for that Void Grubs, they gave over full 5 tower plates over towards the Caitlyn. With that end of that play, finding the kill as well as getting that mid lane tower, you could start to see the items are the exact same, even though there's a 7 kill lead over towards the Jinx.
And now, if you're TUD, you feel a bit of a surge. You feel like you've knocked them down once, you can find it again, smite secured. That is uncontestable vision for DCU, meaning they will have a far better chance of keeping control of this river.
Yeah, and the greatest thing I've seen from how TUD likes to play is their vision control. They just have always got control of this river with the power of the Caitlyn traps, the plants from the Zyra, and even the Janna stopping any engage on top of them. They can just try and stay here, but Riftail plays towards it. I talked about it beforehand. They can try to force them away from this dragon.
Structure finish, flash spent, not enough distance bought as White Raven will box out appropriately. Vayne on flank though, might have a pinch, long way for Talia.
Or it's going to be spotted on one blue wall. There. How many plants?
I think that was 6 plant spawn and a pink ward and a trap in the brush. Ben chunked down to 2/3. However, pushing them back, Rangus will tumble forwards, gets a silver bolt and Bork proc. Huge HP chunked out top and jungle and both really boxing their way on in. Touching with a flip, the seismic shove is great. Forcing ult, forcing flash, and forcing them back. Monsoon for a top up. They continue to wait. Resetting Drake, they reposition.
Yeah, Bitchar can find a Cataclysm onto a couple members, dies afterwards. You're going to be happy with it, but it's just too much chunk damage. You talked about the 6 plants beforehand, the extra poke from the Caitlyn, Talia as well on top of it. If you don't find the quick engage, they are just going to be able to chunk you out there. So getting themselves to Dragon, and most importantly, weathering the storm for longer and scaling in towards this game. The low state we talked about last game, and same for this game, has started to subside. Caitlyn with those 2 items becoming a massive power threat in these team fights. Same with the jungle of Dr. House. 2 items completed. They could start burning through anyone, even Bitchheart on this J4.
And credit to mid on this one. Mitch, who has been pushed around a little bit, evaded top lane, finding the shove, really finds the fight. There's no way you can go back in with a Cataclysm. You're dead before it hits the ground. So that effectively wins them the fight. It wins them the Drake, and still, 1k in the difference, 21 minutes in. It's hard to split these teams out.
Yeah, I agree. And the conversation we have to have is this Vayne pick, something that did find a lead earlier on, a few mistakes coming through with under that tower. It's another play.
As they find their way on in, Dominus proc, Rangus now fighting his way through, forced to flash away, slice dice, and he gets the job done this time. White Raven, counter pick be damned, picks up the solo kill Baron on the cards.
Whenever that flash is available, that slice and dice is just going to find you that kill. As the Baron at 5k.
Trying to mark the pit, flag providing the vision required, 4k HP. Rocket goes astray, it's all on J4's shoulders, has smite, fight goes through. Kai'Sa now is down and popped. Now it's up to the mid laner. Dunk Tank goes through. Chirps now providing the damage. I Maker Lewis can put the shots in. It picks up one. The DPS is down. Ace in the hole rings true. Double kill to AD. DCU pushed back on both sides of Rift. TP channeled. Rangus rejoins. Oct providing the shielding, absorbing the worst of it. TP rechannels, they look to give chase, but that's a lot of whimsy. Lulu is gonna hustle out a river.
Yeah, they stopped this Baron. The most important thing, all they have to do is get out.
However, here comes Weaver's wall. No flash, no hope. Rangus down, flip onto Oct means the slows come through too. This Lulu is down. The KDA tarnished as TUD run back towards this Baron.
Yeah, they're going to be able to start it up, but can they finish it in time? Bitchheart is running, no flash available, flag and drag to get in towards this pick. Kai'Sa up, this Jinx might be able to finish off this fight if they find a reset, but it's just so difficult with no support available.
We have a pause of times of all times. Zeth, right now, of all times, we're going to be calling a pause.
I'm still thinking about this Vayne pick. The one thing that I didn't have a chance to talk about was just constant fighting, constant plays around this Baron. Was it the best pick in this situation? even if it was able to beat the Renekton towards the side lane, it just doesn't have the pressure a Kennen has in these team fights. And I'm starting to dread that they don't have enough in the tank in these team fights to try and win them, even with such a fed Jinx.
Flag in back pit, 3k HP, rocket inbound, in goes the J4, they pull damage, and smite rings true for Zyra. Diamond-handed jungler Dr. House denies the heroics.
Yet again, Beardshot so close with the smite, smited slightly earlier than he needed to, allowing Dr. House to finish it off just a second afterwards. And this is what we want from Irish Esports. Such a close game, such a hectic back and forth, and the only way I'm seeing DCU getting back into the game is just clearing these waves, finding a huge cataclysm with Beardshot, and just wiping someone out to find a reset from Jinx. As Jinx at one point was 9-0, and now it's just 9-2-2. It's really been a struggle after those first couple great plays.
Gold lead stagnates. In DCU with it, they're not able to really keep it going. Monsoon thrown out for top up.
Yeah, just to say, hey, I had it. Not anymore.
Spend.
Not.
I
I mean,
the
it was
longest cooldown in the world, considering we're looking at what, quarter down. Rumble can just spam this out for top up. And look at the headshot damage. Yeah, best of luck trying to 1v9 this game when your health bar looks like that.
Yeah, Caitlyn's hit that 3-item spike I talked about, where she doesn't have a mid-game slump and she just blows up anything. As Jinx has to kill everyone, Caitlyn just has to kill Jinx, and then the game's over. Because Vayne, in the nicest way, Rengar's a great player. When you're at 1.5 items, 2 items, you're not really the carry for your comp just yet. You need that 3, you need that 4 before you can start becoming a major target in these team fights.
So if you're TUD, you're looking to tighten the screws, pick up a Drake. It's not quite a no-doubter, but it certainly belongs to them, I would have to imagine. But it doesn't look like DCU are willing to acknowledge that.
Yeah, we talked about this team, how they just want to fight after fight after fight. And if they ever lose one, they say, we just need to be mechanically better next time. And if we play it perfectly, we will come out on top. But you see how hard they're trying to force a play as a 5-man unit. With Rengar's coming down with no teleport available, it gives an opportunity for Mitchell to go towards top lane, push out this wave, and he can just walk out to safety with this Baron. And that's the strength of this comp. They never have to fight on TUD. They can just say, okay, you want to engage, we'll just walk out.
Oh, very nice there from Mitcha, is able to pull both members of the top side for DCU and get out before it goes off. Throwing out a Chaos Storm here is Chirps, just to clear waves. That's the state the game is in.
Yeah, but 2 members towards the top side, not enough towards the mid lane. They can just open up the secondary towers. I don't even know what these monsoons are. I think they use them just to heal the minions at this point.
I mean, it's creep top up, but it's also the fact that I have this spell on a 3-second cooldown. It's like the Luxel, right? Just kind of blast you, just throwing up the strobes every so often. However, situation top, 2 connecting, Rengus will just healing out. You're just throwing it out because you have it.
I would 100% agree with you, except Jinx just one-shots the minions anyway, so how are you meant to heal side at 0 HP? As a teleport is going to be coming through, trying to keep up the pace, force this tempo, and try to get this last outer towers top lane.
In trouble, wrapping around, nowhere to go, and outer road. Rengus hits the dirt for the 5th time in 4v5. How many tricks does DCU have left? TUD look monstrous.
And we just have to start questioning, where is the last stand for them? How many inhibitors are they going to be given before they leave it? 20 seconds till Rengus is available. Baron's still up for a little while. It's actually just finished, my apologies. But where are they actually going to leave it? Are they going to give up 1? They're going to give up 2. As the longer they wait, the more they're going to have to give here.
Flashing underneath structure, Chaos Storm spend, Q shielding, and the tower shot is a 1-for-1. Admiral defense. They do get flash for flash, R for R, life for life. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Yeah, Chirps, really nice play there. Gives a little bit of alleviation from the team. As a bit like J4 is with the team, if he's not there, they can't defend towers. If Renekton isn't there, they can't walk up and get these towers. So it's a constant fight.
DQ in, they see the DPS top side, both carries, Cataclysm spent, Dominus as well. smacked into the wall with that E. Bear chart down. They get the jungle. Rengus dashing forwards. Has the attack speed from the Ardent Sensor, but Raven is uncowed. Mitchell on the flank. Kaisa now picks up the shutdown. Getting excited, exhausted. Barrier trying to weave through it, but the Weaver will bring an end to the stand. A flip on into for good measure. Finishing touches placed on the triple kill for I Make Her Moo. And just like that, TUD will move to clinch the game and series base under siege.
Yeah, they might be able to pick up an inhibitor, maybe more if they want to force it, but what a fantastic showing from the bot lane of TUD Miau. They tried everything, going for these outplays, being down 6 kills in the bot lane to at the end being able to one-shot the enemy AD carry. They have done so much to get themselves back into this game.
As they're cruising their way on into the base, gold balloons to 13k, and they look to crack yet another inhib. Where do you draw the line, as you said yourself? Second inhib wasn't it.
I think that last fight was where they were trying to draw the line. They are just lucky to have another opportunity here, as there was a small misplay coming out from the DCU side. The combo I talked about of having that Cataclysm plus Vayne by condemning them into the wall doesn't actually work as well as you think, because if you condemn them away from you on the opposite side, you just aren't able to hit because of how low that Vayne range is. They need to make sure that they're in the Cataclysm or can walk around to burst somebody out. Because that kill was so long to try and take, it means that Jinx wasn't able to find that reset. They weren't able to get themselves those kills in the fights.
And so, late reset makes harder work. Baron started and vision control tough. Trying to walk in on a one-man mission right now is J4, but he does successfully get in. He knows they're on it. Moment of clarity. They're looking to fight this one out.
Yeah, 6k available. He needs to go soon.
No chance to find his way in. They knock him up. They stun him down. No one is allowed anywhere near a 50-50 this time. However, look for the flank. Rengus on the back lines. Ultimate committed from Zyra. Look at the plant damage though. And Kaisa now locked in. The carries will fall. DCU's A team will fall. And with that, game, set, match, TUD Miau wraps this one up in 30 minutes. Moving on into the semifinals.
They had everything ripped from them early into this game, but they somehow found a way back into it and get themselves this 2-0 victory.
Absolutely unbreakable. They fight their way back against godlike Jinx, but what's a god to a non-believer? TUD clutch it out.
I'm wondering what effect this has on Arcane itself, if Caitlyn is this powerful, even if Jinx has such a big lead. But all jokes aside, fantastic play by TUD Miau. Personally, I thought 2 minutes into the game, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, anywhere in the early game, I thought this game was completely over. I thought they were just going to steamroll through it, but they just kept finding these small pockets of finding an outplay, finding an out macro rotation. It all came down to, for me, when they got all of those 5 tower plates towards the bot lane, on towards their Caitlyn, they get enough gold, even up that gold spread, win a team fight, and they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And by the end, the gold lead was over 10,000.
From 6-0 to 0-2.
That must hurt.
Where do you even pick up the pieces? Because this is the end of the road, right? Single Elim, one day will do it. TUD, unbreakable in terms of bot lane leads going astray. Caitlyn twice, struggling early on and finding their way back in. All credit. But for DCU, how do you deal with this? How do you regather yourself after a run through Swiss into playoffs? TUD, celebrations abound, I'm sure.
Yeah, you have to celebrate after that one. But if I am a DCU fan, as I know you are, the best way that I've always found it is, yes, you lose today, but just make sure it doesn't happen again and take the small learning opportunities from here. Because what have we learned so far? We've learned that Zyra for J4 is a super awkward combination. We understood that we weren't able to push our lead when we found it with that Lulu and Jinx, because they did a fantastic job of stopping everything the TUD well, TUD Miau wanted to do early on, but they just weren't able to push it further. So if they, for next season, can get into that situation again and know how to push it further, they can get themselves on towards the next thing. Because it's great and all losing here, but it doesn't mean you're going to lose forever.
Absolutely not. Always next split. But on the positive side, right? Every conflict has a winner and a loser. Moving on to semis, Miau with the 2-0. You got to highlight some bits, pieces. This is a cohesive unit, but in terms of specific highlights, alleged MVPs, right? There's going to be some discussion behind the scenes. Where are you giving the nod? Where are you giving your singular Zath vote as the staff kind of looks over this one?
Well, it's really difficult to give a singular vote because I want to give it just collectively towards this bot lane. Miau and Sprumble had a fantastic series as a collective because their bot lane was very difficult to execute. You were playing a matchup that you were supposed to lose. You're supposed to get pushed in, but you found ways to make these outplays, make these moments with your vision clear to have Dr. House walk in and get it. So out of both of them, I'm a support main. I'll give it to Sprumble. I have to stick with my own people.
Absolutely see it, right? You know, when Monsoon's on a 10-second cooldown, you're providing a lot of value. You know what? I'll say that much. There was more minion healing done from that champion than anyone else on the Rift. Bar none. However, I'm giving the nod to the plant in the jungle. Where else would you find a plant? And we're joking. Again, I keep highlighting it. It was the perfect linchpin for this game. J4 is more than happy to skip camp after camp after camp. J4 is not happy to give camp after camp after camp. You can drop them and leave them up there to be collected at an unforeseen later date, but when they're taken, when they are suddenly in the pockets of a Zyra, and you're staring down the barrel of the just thicket of Zyra plants and alleged other spells to try and fight through, your Vayne counterpick in isolation, fantastic. Your melee range champs in isolation, fantastic, but you can't get through. And I got to give the nod to the jungle, right? This is 2 games in a row. You said after game 1, no way we see it again. Game 2, it happens in deja vu all over again.
Yeah, it's really difficult to play against because I want to break down real quickly one play that the team did, TUD, to get themselves a lead because they played from start to finish a perfect game in game 2 until everything went wrong with that last tower dive where they just tried to do a bit too much. But the main thing was they got Prio in towards the mid lane. They placed the ward down. They saw the ward happen. Dr. House went in, bullied out the enemy jungler, got themselves a kill, and then went for a reset, came back in, stole more jungle camps because the bot lane was able to keep up the pressure. And they constantly had this fight of, okay, if you can help me here, I'll help you there, and you'll help me here yet again. And they found this huge lead. Of course, it didn't go well at the end, but I'm super excited to see this team going further forward as they could start building on this more, start regaining their leads again and being able to push it forward. As the only one concern I have is they haven't had a single significant lead in the early game.
Yes, I will give you that counterpoint. If you're looking to exploit, there's a world in which you look to just try and blow them out of the water. But if your AD carry, enemy AD carry goes godlike, and White Raven is counterpicked in what you described as an unplayable matchup, and then solo kills it, that is a tough team to try and box into a corner and keep out entirely, right? Try everything to keep them confined, constricted, leads galore. Inevitability, they will fight their way out. They will clutch up and they will get it together. TUD Miau, well-deserved, taking this sweep. And I'm looking forward to keeping this rolling into playoffs.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And do you remember this prediction we said beforehand? One team was going to have a 49% win rate, one's going to have 51. I can officially tell you the team that I thought was going to win all along is TUD Miau. It might be a bit biased that they actually won at the end, but you know what? We always take it here at the Irish Collegiate Series. And coming in towards the semi-finals, there's a lot of very exciting games up ahead. And to be honest, I'm hyped for those semis. I'm hyped for the finals. It's just been a good season overall.
Absolutely. Has been. However, as all good things must do, today is unfortunately coming to an end. That is going to do it for us. So thank you very much for joining. I have been Sandbag. This has been Zathos. Oro Blanco filling in to get things behind the scenes. Thank you very much for slotting into that one. And thank you very much to Natives for keeping us powered up and moving forwards into the series. Next week, same time, same place, semifinals. You don't want to miss it. Take care and have a good one, guys.